Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a realistic NCLEX style case study focused on safe and effective care environment. We'll go through an unfolding clinical scenario together, analyze each situation, and break down exactly what the nurse should do and why. So if you're prepping for NCLEX or just brushing up on clinical reasoning, this is the video for you. Let's jump into the case. Case study background. We've got a 68-year-old female named Mrs. Smith, admitted to the med-surg unit with a urinary tract infection, UTI, and suspected sepsis. Her medical history includes chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, managed with albuterol inhaler as needed, osteoarthritis managed with acetaminophen, and importantly, no known allergies. Earlier today, she was oriented, but reported chills and some confusion. At 8 a.m., here's what's happening. Patient appears lethargic, pain during urination, Foley catheter is inserted, IV normal saline at 100 milliliters per hour, and levofloxacin 750 milligrams IV daily started. BP 160, HR 102, temp 102.8 degrees fast. WBC is 16,500, lactate 2.8, creatinine 1.4, urinalysis positive for nitrites and leukocytes. Blood cultures are pending. At 10 a.m., her BP drops to 90/50, HR goes up to 110, and she reports nausea. A fluid bolus is ordered, and a repeat lactate level is pending. Now, based on this scenario, let's go through the NCLEX-style questions. Question 1. Delegation. Which of the following statements indicates the nurse's understanding of safe delegation for Mrs. Smith's care? Let's read the options together. The first option is, the nurse delegates Foley catheter insertion to a certified nursing assistant, CNA. The second option is, the nurse delegates vital signs monitoring to an unlicensed assistive personnel, UAP. The third option is, the nurse delegates IV fluid bolus administration to a licensed practical nurse, LPN. The fourth option is, the nurse delegates patient education about sepsis to a UAP. The fifth option is, the nurse delegates assessment of lung sounds to a CNA. The sixth option is, the nurse delegates levofloxacin administration to an LPN. Take a few seconds to think about it. Correct answer B, vital signs monitoring to a UAP. Let's break it down. Correct. Monitoring vital signs is within a UAP's scope of practice. It's a routine, non-invasive task that involves collecting data but not making clinical decisions based on it. This is appropriate delegation. Now, why are the others incorrect? Inserting a Foley catheter requires sterile technique and clinical judgment. That's RN level, not for a CNA. IV fluid bolus administration involves ongoing monitoring and assessing response. In most settings, that's outside the scope of an LPN and must be done by an RN. Teaching about sepsis is complex education, not just giving information. It requires assessing understanding, adjusting explanations, and that's not something a UAP can do. Lung sound assessment is a clinical skill that requires interpretation. A CNA is not trained for that. While in some states, LPNs with IV certification can give IV meds, levofloxacin is a high-risk antibiotic, and without verification of training, it's not safe to assume delegation is appropriate. Question 2. Priority intervention. Which of the following situations requires the nurse to intervene immediately? Here are your options. The first option is, the UAP reports a BP of 90/50. The second option is, the CNA leaves the Foley catheter bag on the floor. The third option is, the LPN administers acetaminophen 650 milligrams PO for fever. The fourth option is, the UAP provides the patient with a blanket for chills. The fifth option is, the CNA records an SpO2 of 90% on tool oxygen. The sixth option is, the LPN documents the patient's nausea in the chart. Take a few seconds to think. Correct answer, B, the Foley catheter bag on the floor. Here's why. A Foley catheter bag touching the floor can introduce bacteria and lead to catheter-associated urinary tract infections. This is a direct violation of infection control, and the nurse must correct it immediately. Let's go through the others. A BP of 90/50 is low, but this has already been reported earlier, and orders are in place to address it. Administering acetaminophen is within scope and part of the treatment for fever. Providing a blanket is a comfort measure and appropriate for chills. An SpO2 of 90% on 2L oxygen is normal for a COPD patient. This doesn't require intervention unless it drops further. Documenting nausea is part of routine care, not an emergency. Question 3. High-risk medications. Which of the following medications requires the nurse to implement specific safety protocols? The first option is levofloxacin 750 mg IV daily. The second option is acetaminophen 650 mg PO/PRN. The third option is albuterol inhaler 2 puffs PRN. The fourth option is normal saline IV at 100 ml per hour. The fifth option is normal saline 500 milliliter bolus. The sixth option is oxygen 2L via nasal cannula. Pause and think. Correct answer A, levofloxacin 750 mg IV. Levofloxacin is a fluoroquinolone, which carries risks of tendon rupture, QT prolongation, and CNS effects. It requires checking allergies, verifying the dose and route, and careful monitoring for side effects. Others. B, acetaminophen is low risk unless excessive doses are given. You just monitor the total 24-hour dose. Albuterol can cause tachycardia, but it's not considered high risk. DE, normal saline in both forms is routine. Just watch fluid balance, but it's not high alert. Oxygen is essential therapy, not a medication with systemic side effects. Question 4. Urgent provider notification. Which of the following indicates the nurse should contact the healthcare provider immediately? The first option is patient's lactate level is 2.8 millimole per liter. The second option is patient's BP drops to 80/40 millimeters. The third option is patient's temperature is 102.8. The fourth option is patient's SpO2 is 90% on 2L oxygen. The fifth option is patient reports nausea. The sixth option is patient's creatinine is 1.4 milligrams per dL. Take a moment. Correct answer B. BP drops to 80/40/40. Why? This is a critical drop in BP and indicates worsening sepsis. Hypotension that severe can signal the patient is entering septic shock, and this needs immediate action. Let's review the others. Lactate of 2.8 is high, but a repeat is already ordered. We're watching, but not paging right away. C. High fever is expected with infection. It's being treated with antipyretics. 90% SpO2 is acceptable for someone with COPD. E. Nausea is uncomfortable but not urgent. Mildly elevated creatinine may reflect dehydration or infection, but it's not critical. Question 5. What is the right approach to ensure infection control for Mrs. Smith? The first option is use standard precautions for all patient interactions. The second option is place the patient in a negative pressure room. The third option is use contact precautions for all patient interactions. The fourth option is wear a mask and goggles when within 3 feet of the patient. The fifth option is use sterile gloves for Foley catheter care. The sixth option is allow visitors without PPE in the room. Think it through. Correct answer, standard precautions. Why? A. Standard precautions, like hand hygiene, gloves during catheter care, are sufficient. Sepsis and UTI are not spread by air or droplets. Let's go through the wrong ones. B. Negative pressure rooms are for airborne diseases like TB or measles. Not needed here. C. Contact precautions are for resistant organisms which aren't mentioned. D. Masks, goggles are droplet precautions, also not required. E. Sterile gloves are used only during Foley insertion, not for regular care. Visitors must follow hand hygiene protocols and possibly wear PPE depending on hospital policy, not a free pass. Question 6. Advocacy. Which of the following statements indicates the nurse is advocating for Mrs. Smith? The first option is, the nurse ignores the patient's request for pain relief. The second option is, the nurse ensures the patient's cultural dietary preferences are communicated to the dietitian. The third option is, the nurse administers levofloxacin without checking the patient's chart. The fourth option is, the nurse delegates all patient assessments to an LPN. The fifth option is, the nurse documents the patient's vital signs inaccurately. The sixth option is, the nurse allows the patient's family to adjust the IV flow rate. Think about patient advocacy. Correct answer B. Communicates cultural dietary preferences. Why? B. Advocacy means speaking up for the patient's needs. This includes respecting their culture, preferences, and ensuring these are incorporated into care. Let's look at what advocacy is not. A. Ignoring pain undermines trust and violates patient rights. C. Giving meds without verifying orders is unsafe. LPNs can assist, but RNs are responsible for assessments. Inaccurate documentation puts the patient at risk. Families should never adjust IV rates. That's strictly a nursing responsibility. And there you have it. This was a deep dive into safe and effective care using a realistic NCLEX case study.